The Wilderness Within You, Day 27, the Monday of week 5 in Lent. Two readings today, first from the book of Genesis, the first chapter, verses 27 to 28 from the New International Version. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." And from the letter to the Colossians, the first chapter, verses 15 to 20, again from the NIV. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. The most magnificent wilderness of my personal experience has to be the ocean. Hidden, inscrutable, undeclared, all life is there, much of it incomprehensibly alien. Even the bit we can see, just the top of it, is wild enough. In the autumn and now in the spring come the great tides of the equinox, sand gold waves frothed with lace like an out-of-control diva, all sound and fury and heaving breast, flinging stuff everywhere and wreaking havoc. High on the cliff here, we look towards the path of light streaming across the water from the sinking sun. Heavy clouds, underlit with vermilion glory, mass in the west. I think of Jesus tossing in the fishing boat on Lake Galilee, fast asleep, while his friends, seasoned sailors, begin to panic, getting up drowsy and slightly annoyed at being disturbed, to chide the foaming sea. From his rebuke proceeds peace. I consider what this means, to hold such dominion. The waves and the wind, I remark, they did what you said. Amazing. That's so amazing. It is the trust of humankind, he answers me simply, to subdue the earth. It is God's command to us, our charge to fulfill. To have dominion over the earth. I have friends who say that climate change is nonsense, that we can do what we like to the earth, because when everything is fulfilled, God will make a new heaven and a new earth, so this one is kind of disposable. They say God gave us the earth to do what we like with. A resource, I guess, just ours. So it doesn't matter if the tigers die out and the frankincense trees. It doesn't matter if we drill up the Arctic wilderness for oil and cut down the trees of the cloud forest. What matters is the human economy. Actually, even saying it, I can't imagine how anybody could think that way and not notice how colossally stupid it is. Because we all belong to one another, don't we? Not only the human family, I mean, but the whole web of creation. He listens, looking out across the splendour of the sea. I can't begin to tell you how comforting it is to have Jesus listen to you, just to talk to him. There is a sanity in his presence, an intelligence that gives me the feeling that somehow, because he is here with me, whatever happens, everything will be all right in the end. Like his friends in the boat, storm-flung, any kind of apocalypse scenario could conceivably be brought to heel by the quality of his presence. Dominion, he murmurs. Power. Without accountability, these are meaningless. The power to consume and destroy is not God's dominion. God is the creator. From him all life proceeds. But you cannot serve God and mammon, because no one can be the loyal servant of two different masters. When human decisions and behaviours are driven by the imperatives of economic growth, that's not dominion, it's slavery. Consuming and destroying are not power, only insanity. The reign of God is a peaceable kingdom, where wholeness comes and peace, where the delicate, perfect balance of life finds the poise of equilibrium. There is the dominion of God. The politics of the human race are conditioned by fear. Razor wire along the borders and soldiers with guns, arms fairs and nuclear deterrence, tanks rumbling ominously across the trackless desert. But God did not give humanity this spirit of fear, whether to fear others or to make them afraid. The Spirit of God brings the power not to plunder, but to love, not the madness and terror of war, but the sound mind of the peacemaker. This rape of the earth is accursed. How could it be otherwise? In the peaceable kingdom, all things hold together. Everything dies, assuredly. All beings have their time to be born and then to pass away. But the one who loves God holds creation sacred, for so it is. The creation is in covenant relationship with the Father. And you are amazed when I say peace and the winds and the waves become calm, but it's only because they can trust the words I say. There's no falsehood in it, you see. Nature can discern falsehood. If a man says peace and there is no peace in his heart, in his life, the living earth will not pay attention to him. When he prays for peace while preparing for war, his prayers go nowhere. Man says peace, and woodland creatures everywhere flee for their lives at the sound of his voice. Man protects his peace with a fleet of nuclear warheads trained upon his imagined enemy. He deludes himself, because flesh and blood are never the enemy of humankind. Only that which sucks a man's soul dry of all kindness and compassion. Man says peace and trains every living thing to ignore him. It is his habitual rapacity that has made a miracle of the dominion of God. In the silence that follows his words, a silence swelling with sadness, we listen to the rhythmic pound and drag of the waves on the shingle, and to the wild cry of wheeling gulls. We watch the last liquid crimson of the sun bleed out across the western sky.